So, one of my most viewed videos recently was fame indicators in the chart, and I got a ton of people sending in their charts on Hey Here and stuff being like, hi, can you tell me that I am famous? For most people, no. You can be successful at something, but it has to be kind of like overwhelming. So I'm going to quickly run through what I said in that video. I'll link it down below, and then Alyssa will tell us about her. Well, a lot of it lines up, some of it's new, and we were talking earlier about like some things in my chart that I was like, oh my god, like I actually never put two and two together. That's a really clear indication. So mainly, if you have planets in the top half of the chart, that is more likely to be public. Bottom half is private life, family, very close-knit things. Top half of the chart naturally going to be more public. There can be anomalies where you have shit in the bottom half and you're a very private, famous person, pretty rare. The second thing is prominent Sun, Jupiter, or North Node. The Sun is ego, creativity, Jupiter is expansive and abundant, and the North Node amplifies or increases with ambition, whatever it touches. If you have prominent Sun, Jupiter, or North Node, especially together in like a double aspect, any of these together, in the top half of the chart, especially on the midheaven or on an angle like that, that's going to amplify that significantly more. And if they're in a sign that they are at home in or exalted in, the Sun in Leo or Aries, Jupiter in Cancer or Sagittarius or Pisces, that will amplify that dignity even more. So multiple of these added up together will be what's helpful. A lot of planets in the top half, especially 10th or 11th house, dignified Jupiter or Sun on the North Node, etc., are going to amplify that. So that goes into detail with the video below. Most people will not have any of these, or they might have like half of one and be like a Walmart super. No, I'm kidding. Like not a Walmart super. I'm kidding. But I think that there's so many different levels of fame that even like someone could have an astounding level to these, and they may not be as big as like, I don't know, Beyonce or something. So I think good realism and like grain of salt with these is important, but top half of the chart, dignified, growth-oriented planets generally.
Yeah. And I would add to that part very specifically that people are archetypes with certain energies, right? And we can only handle as much as I'm going to get super spiritual, like our soul development can handle. And that's why sometimes like you could have the exact same chart as a very famous person, and this person, their celebrity, one, because their chart fits that spiritual energy that was destined for this, and then yours is destined for what you're capable of. And you'll find out once you reach those great heights, because a lot of people, they get to a certain point and it feels powerful to them. Okay, so like you could kind of compare this to someone might have a heavy fame indicator in their chart, and so they'll get up, they'll grow to 10,000 TikTok followers, or like 10,000 YouTube subscribers, or like 10,000 Instagram subscribers, or like or followers or whatever. And for them in their life, this is a pinnacle of fame, and this matters in their community, it matters in their home, and it matters in their soul, and they feel good about it. And for other people, that amount of growth isn't enough, and they keep forcing it and moving forward. And you kind of like can notice it within like basically the grounding of the individual. However, when you're looking at the fame indicators, I feel like you're receiving two things at one time. You're receiving like your ambition and what the universe is offering.
Yeah.
And so your universe will offer you and put their hand out to you to grab it, but if you don't actually have the ambition to forward it, then it's dead in the water. And that's usually why like you could compare what's in the center as like your spiritual or your soul, your archetype energy that is stopping you from going further. It's you could even then say it's the Rahu energy of it as well.
My comment would be that like I actually disagree when astrologers say like you could have the exact same chart as a celebrity. I'm like, but you don't. The counterfactual doesn't exist. So so my counter to that is that like that chart will have a different kind of fame, like that we were saying. Or if it's heavy Rahu, that is someone who's gonna fuck shit up, who's gonna never endless. They might not. I mean, Ram Dass has Sun Rahu. Ram Dass is not but he was a disruptive, and he never stopped. Versus someone with an exalted Jupiter could like create a bunch of money, do well, and then have a family go private and be satisfied. So I think that you're very right with satisfaction.
Yes, it is like, what is that satisfying? Because realistically, with the internet, we are all experiencing fame.
Yeah.
Just like if you are in, it's like why high school has cliques, because you're in the same arena.
And you'll decide when to stop.
And so you're like, you can only go as far in this little fishbowl or whatever.
Right.
And so my fame indicators that I've always noticed to be the heaviest are if you have a planet tightly conjunct your rising, your midheaven, your descendant, or your IC, like these axis points, because these points are directly related to the world, and they're kind of like our skeleton of our chart. So they energy, like your nervous system
very
is connected.
Noticeable in the
yes,
world.
Very noticeable. So the planets there are activating that to become bigger, and so whatever planet will tell you sort of the type of fame. So you have Saturn on your IC, which will consistently be pushing you in this general direction to find this like Saturn stability underneath, but people are going to see it and they're going to recognize it, and it's in Taurus, so it's going to be about money, and it will be repeatedly over and over and over again in your life.
Oh my god, everyone thinks I'm like conniving money. I'm like, bro, the amount that I get money and give it out is like, I don't give a shit, but security is what I'm looking for, and people can feel that I want security, and they assume I'm then money hungry. Yeah.
You could literally be homeless, like on the floor, like and people would be like, "You fucking money hungry." Like
dead ass right now. But everything in my company, I'm just like whatever, vibing. Not like I put everything in my company. People still have the audacity to be like, "Oh, she does all this for money, bro. What the fuck?" So that's it. And then Neptune on the ascendant. I see in a lot of entertainers, because it's people project onto you what they want to see. So if you have a prominent Neptune, that's another one I did not mention.
Yeah, and Neptune actually rules film, cameras,
Hollywood.
It's all of that, because it is the deception, and that's what Hollywood does.
Yes.
Creates the deception to manipulate the masses,
yes.
And that's what Neptune wants. And the big thing that I feel like people love to know is the yod or the yod. I call it the yod. It's not pronounced that, but I do it anyway.
It's pronounced yod?
I'm pretty sure
I've never heard it like that.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm going to pronounce it yod, but I looked it up one time and heard yod, and I was like, what?
Interesting.
Yeah, we'll have to look that up later. I don't think it matters, because I just call it a finger of God or finger of fate. Now, one big thing about this, whenever I bring it up, people are like, where's mine? And I'm like, not everyone has one.
Yeah.
And a lot more people will have one with Neptune and Pluto, but they don't actually count as much, because most everyone, pretty 99% of people who are born or are alive right now have Neptune sextile Pluto in their chart. Therefore, if they have a planet that is in that, what is it?
It's a sextile and two in conjunctions.
Yes. So if they have a planet that's right there that in conjunct, they're pointing, Neptune and Pluto is pointing to that planet. However, the strongest ones, which you have one without Neptune and Pluto. Do you have two without?
I'm going to make sure.
Yeah. The Neptune and Pluto still works. It creates virality, and I've seen it work with people.
But it's not as
it's not as lasting, and it's not anything as much. But it still causes virality, because when a trigger point hits it, it speeds up this weird process, because virality isn't just good fame. Yeah. It's also a lot of negativity.
Yeah, exactly. So for anyone new, a yod, finger of God, is two in conjunctions and a sextile. If you're new to what those so an in conjunction is actually not an aspect, it's an aversion, but it's a type of conversation. It's showing that there's not a line of sight. So you can look up yod, in conjunction, sextile. Look up what a yod is if you want the exact degrees. I have two, and neither involve Pluto sextiling Neptune. So I have Saturn, basically my chart has two. I have Saturn at the fulcrum, and then I'll specify later, but I have two. So.
Yeah, and that's what, it's basically, so when the planets are heavily hitting something like that, it sends a shockwave, and that's what I've noticed with everybody, the people who go viral multiple times, even for different reasons. You could go viral, literally leave the internet for 5 years, come back, go viral again, and that's usually because of this figure of God.
Yeah.
This is not, the guarantee of...
You have to have several of these to stand out.
Yeah.
You need several.
But that one definitely shows, because one other thing that can happen too, you're like, well, I don't even have one and I've gone viral, because I don't have one. But I've gone viral before when certain planets create one. Yes. And so if you have one, you don't need the full... experience of it in your chart. It's already there, so you see one planet to go over it. But when you can have something that might create it a few times, then that's what happens.
That's a good example of someone might have a really awesome transit of like Jupiter, Uranus, North Node, whatever, all on their midheaven for like 6 months or a year, and you might get a really big break. But if your chart itself does not have the promise underlying it of publicity, that's not going to be long lasting. And I think that that's the most common type of fame that someone experiences, is like for a little bit they get an uprush or a taste. And that is just inherent, like in astrology and in life, when momentary things of like, oh, I go to LA to like be a singer or something, and then whatever happens and you don't really pursue that, that's a more common energetic thing, is like something being activated for a period of time. You can definitely, be great at what you do, be very fulfilled, and probably not a lot of people are going to have this overlapping in a really astounding way. That's not like offensive or anything, it's just like the hard truth, just like how I don't have really amazing romantic relationships indicated in my chart. I do have publicity and challenges with that indicated in my chart. But yeah, any other aspects that you can think of?
Yeah, because in the same vein, when you're talking about like how virality is different than, say, being like Julia Roberts, right?
Right.
She's incredibly famous, but she hasn't been in anything.
Yeah, there's like TikToks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And a lot of that, which I don't know her chart, but a lot of that is with the Saturn moon, because Saturn is stability, and the moon is like your actual physical essence.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And so like a lot of people who have Saturn conjunct moon, even Capricorn energy, and actually weirdly Capricorn Mars, like there's some Mars.
I love Capricorn Mars. Yeah.
And like an opposition of Moon Saturn or a square Moon Saturn. Your Moon and Saturn are both ruled by Venus.
Yeah, and they're in conjunct exact by degree and minute.
In the finger of God, right? There you go.
Yeah, with Pluto.
Yeah, with Pluto. So that's it. It creates the stability of the thing. So when you go viral, you stabilize yourself. Where a lot of other people could go viral and like lose it right away, and you see that on TikTok.
You're so right. Moon Saturn is like, I'd say it doesn't indicate the actual virality, but it indicates sustaining yourself emotionally, because a lot of people energetically I see flail out. They randomly freak out when they blow up, and I get that. However, I have heavy Rahu, Sun, Regulus conjunct. There's no limit.
It's the word is like frantic. After the viral moment, there's a frantic feeling, especially when it leaves. Like there's the frantic of like where it's gonna go, and Saturn, because the moon is destabilized, right? So Saturn works to stabilize the moon, and I have Saturn opposite moon, and so what happens to me, because I don't have the finger of God, is that I've never gone, well, except on TikTok with like a few times, but like say on YouTube where I started, I never went specifically viral. I just steadily grew. It was all supported. So with that, that's my Saturn and my moon stabilizing my name and collective conscious as well.
I now see that my two yods are Saturn and then moon Pluto, and then I have the sun Jupiter Neptune. So yeah, I remember those now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you have like, I remember looking at that, because when you went viral, would your chart go up on Astro theme?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, you have the, because I was paying attention to the gods for like a few years, and I was like, you have
that's
really
a good
strong
point,
ones.
because I don't usually look at those, so that's a very good point.
I used to look at them as they are, because everyone wanted to know what they were, and they would ask me on YouTube, and I'd be like, I don't know, guys, this is like really confusing, it's really hard to read. And what I heard about it, when I would read for people who were not famous, when they had one, I would be like, you are made for a specific destiny point, because it's called the finger of God, and that's what I read and all that stuff. But then I was like, I almost imagine that like the finger of God was created for the now times, maybe even because of the Neptune Pluto like sextile, or because that's been going on for, I don't know.
Longest
time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like yours are not even including that, which is so interesting to me. So with that, it's like you have to also put yourself out there. Like if you're a secretary or something in your God, and you're not like putting yourself out on the internet, you're not even giving yourself a moment. And so what you might, like if you're a secretary and your boss and you have a God, you're gonna go viral for being the secretary of your boss.
Right.
So you have to be very understanding of your own energy as well.
Yeah.
Because with that, it's good and bad.
Yeah.
With the good attention comes the negative.
Yeah, like everyone wants to ask for their fame indicators. If I was me, if that was little me, I would have looked at my chart and said yes. And also, the most challenging thing is your public image and what comes with that. So, as always, be careful what you wish for, even though it kind of says what you're gonna get. So.
Yeah, and just know that after you get any level of fame, you will lose it, like you were going to, but that's for learning self-protection, because you've just leveled up to a certain area in life that you've never been. And so if you stay there, you will never be able to stabilize if you don't also kind of dip down, learn the protection, like fix the holes in your armor.
Yeah, that's engagement. You have one moment that's great, then you go to a baseline. And
yes, it's like you're working up the stairs.
Yeah.
Like just kind of waiting at one stair and then to go up again.
Yeah.
That's how I always look at it.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, this is an update to my other one. So if you think you're going to be famous, let us know in the comments.